And we're back with the show. This is once again Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. Well, last week was a great week if you were a Walking Dead fan because, well, spoilers, I'm going to tell you right now, spoilers are upcoming. So if you haven't watched the latest episodes of The Walking Dead and you're still going to get caught up, going to throw in a couple spoilers in on you, but some major changes happened with the Walking Dead series, and who better to talk about it with me today than I guess the head of a new group that's out there on Facebook, Talking the Dead. You got to catch it today. That, just go ahead, search it out. Talking the Dead 18 plus on Facebook. It is my good friend Daphne Matthew. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jerry. How are you?
Another beautiful day in Las Vegas. I'm just excited to talk about The Walking Dead. I know I've been pestering you now for almost a week since the major news have happened. Just like, I gotta talk to you. I gotta talk to you when it comes to The Walking Dead. But again, we're going to be talking some spoilers here. So if you haven't caught up yet and you still want to, especially with last week's episode, please just, maybe you just want to just turn it down just for a few minutes. Here we go. Last weekend on The Walking Dead was the official, supposedly last episode of Rick Grimes. And technically, they didn't say he was going to die. They just said it was going to be the last episode of The Walking Dead. So they pretty much found an out. And I'm glad in the fact that if people have caught up already date with what's going on, that if you know what went on with Rick Grimes, he fell off a horse, impaled himself with an oncoming stream of zombies, which I'm sure was great when they drew it up in the writing room. But I'm telling you right now, he got out of it, had several dream sequences while he was letting out blood when he was close to death. And as he went ahead and he actually got himself to safety for a moment and found and got in contact with those that he loved when he was searching for his quote unquote family. But he crossed a bridge, lured thousands, quote unquote, and I'm saying that hundreds. Whatever CG will apply here. But he led all these zombies across the bridge, blew himself up and the bridge. And, well, we all thought for a moment there that, well, until the commercial break happened, that he was a goner. Well, Sherm Begora, he is not a goner. He was found on the beach. He was found on the side of a river, still alive, still massively bleeding to death. And I'll have you take it over from here because it leads into a new universe for The Walking Dead. I'm thankful that they didn't pull a Glenn. Actually, in kind of a way, they actually kind of did, and they did not. It's kind of a gray area from what they promised to what they said, to what they stated, to what they're going to do now. Your thoughts on all that's going on, but we'll leave the story over to you on exactly what's going to go on now with Rick Grimes.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well. They never did say Rick was going to die. They never said Rick was going to die. I'll say that everything was leading to a Rick Grimes death, but it didn't actually happen. I'm happy it happened that way. It doesn't, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to backtrack. Just because he didn't die, that doesn't leave the door open for his return. It has been confirmed, and I have had it confirmed by several sources that Andrew Lincoln will not return to The Walking Dead in any way, shape, or form. He is going to do 3 movies. He's going to do 3 Rick Grimes themed movies, but he is not returning to the show. He wanted to leave last year, but when the surprise came that Chandler Riggs was killed off, he felt that it would have been too much for the fans, so he decided to stay. So he was very firm about only being on the show for part of the season, so he committed to 5. He did his 5, and he went out, and I'll say it literally with a bang, because once that bridge blew up, everybody thought he was dead.
Until the
There's a
commercial
lot.
break happened. So
Commercial breaks. There's a lot of those on The Walking Dead. It was kind of like it was that episode was very strenuous, and the fact that first of all, everything that was leading up to this episode was just so intense, and then every 10 minutes or 5 minutes, it was a commercial break. It was like, come on, let's just get on with the story. Let's just get on with the story. Just cut out the commercials. I thought it should have been a longer episode, but after looking at it, it was fitting. I think a lot of things there's been a closure on a lot of things, because if a lot of people don't know, they'll know from me now. That was also Lauren Cohans, who plays Maggie's last episode. She will not be returning to the show anytime in the near future. So that was two main characters we lost, but we actually saw Rick's departure and not Maggie's. So I don't know how they're going to play that off, how they're going to explain her departure. If I was a showrunner on that show, I would have actually tried to have her stay one more episode to kind of like give her real closure, because I think her departure is more focused on the fact that if I was a showrunner, I would explain her departure more of an attack of conscience, because the episode, or maybe 2 episodes before, when it was revealed that the Oceanside people were killing the saviors, and one of the characters, Cindy, told her that she showed them the way. I think that really weighed a lot on her conscience personally. And that might have been, if I was, like I said, if I was a showrunner, I would have played off on that and given her a definite departure. But they kind of left it up in the air. I know last week was totally Rick. It was supposed to be totally Rick. I think, like I said, they did it very well. I was shocked that he survived. And that's one of the few times I've ever been shocked in the 9 years of looking at The Walking Dead, was that they actually played it off that he survived. As we go further, there's a few more things I'll explain about why they did it that way. But for now, I'll just say it was really, I think, fulfilling for the fans itself to know that he actually didn't die. I mean, they're still in denial about him coming back to the show, but he's not going to come back, he said. He's firm about that.
Well, I will say, to add on to that, so we left Rick Grimes bleeding on the side of a river. He was actually not found by any one of the people he associated with and he cared for, as far as his quote unquote family that he was searching throughout the entire episode. He was actually found by Jadis, who is completely transformed from the time that most people were familiar with her character into something different. She's actually found him, located him, and actually communicated with the mysterious helicopter. And the last images you see of Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead is him being flown away in a helicopter to who knows where, to who knows what. The actual Walking Dead show then fast forwards 6 years later, and it now shows us new characters, including an older version of Rick Grimes' daughter Judith, that you see going ahead and killing some walkers. You can't say zombies.
Can't say zombies.
Can't say zombies. Walkers that are out there. So we now have a situation where it flashes forward to 6 years later on the series. That also leaves room for whatever demise or whatever thing that they planned for Laurie Cohen. So obviously there's a mystery there as far as what went on in those 6 years that has her character that's gone bye-bye. And it still leaves, like was mentioned by you, and also as well, that Scott Gimple, the head guy, the head showrunner as far as up on top with Angela Kang and all that, they announced that there's going to be a 3-movie set, at least, at the minimum, for The Walking Dead. Those 3 movies which were announced are going to include the Rick Grimes part of it and his storyline going forward in a new part of the Walking Dead universe, among other things that they're talking about doing that are upcoming for the Walking Dead universe. They still have a lot of plans. I ask you, though, ratings were mildly up for the Rick Grimes episode, obviously because they hyped it so much, and a lot of people like myself that were casual viewers. As I've told you before, I'm one of those in and outers that comes in and comes out depending on the storyline and how good it is. A lot of people like me did tune in, but a lot of people like me are probably going to be tuning back out. Ratings overall for the season are down, and we talked about this the last time. They were down half of what they were at the peak already of The Walking Dead, and they're down even further overall outside of last week's episode. Your thought on expanding this universe even more when there's still trouble in the home front on the main episode as far as keeping that alive and fresh with and trying to garner in new people for more ratings?
Well, I mean, last year, I think a lot of people tuned out because of the fact that there were major character deaths. I mean, they killed off Carl Grimes, which a lot of people who watch the show are comic book readers, so they know the story of the comics. So a lot of people tuned out because of that. But now that I'm thinking about it and that I have had time to recover from that sudden death, as well as many of the other fans, and talked amongst people in fan bases and at cons and Walker Stalkers and all that out there in the Walking Dead fan universe. This thing with the ratings is basically something that happens with any big show. I mean, this show has been on this is the 9th year it's been in existence. And people come and go, unfortunately. People that I know were diehard fans years ago stopped looking at it when Glenn got killed off. And that was now 3 seasons ago. So, I mean, and then we have to take into consideration that now with the way that social media and the internet is that people don't always look at it at the same time. We have people in other countries who don't look at it until they don't get to look at it until the next day. We have people that DVR it. We have people that are looking at football and will look at it later. They'll look at it at 11 o'clock as opposed to at 9 o'clock when it airs on the East Coast. We have people that live in California that don't see it until midnight. So, I mean, I personally am no longer that concerned about the ratings because there's just so many factors that go into how ratings are obtained. But I do admit that a lot of people that I know have tuned out over the years, even family, because of the fact that, especially last season. I mean, I think this season so far is great. I think that it somewhat takes me back to season 4, which in my opinion was the best season ever. But 4 and 5, I think Angela Kang is doing a wonderful job as the showrunner. I'm glad they gave Scott Gimple the boot upstairs, and he's no longer involved with the day-to-day of the show or any of the decision-making. He's like the talking head of The Walking Dead. He just sits there and talks. But but as far as the story goes, I think it's gotten exponentially better. I think last year a lot of people were disappointed because they were promised in season 7 that All Out War would not take a whole season. And it turned out it did. And I think a lot of that had to do with the decision to kill Carl. Because, Andrew Lincoln even stated it himself. He was going to leave last year. And up until the episode where it was revealed that Carl was bit, which was the mid-season finale, it did give the appearance and the feeling that that was going to be Rick Grimes' last season, but then they flipped it and they decided to take out Carl and spend the second half of season 8 on the war, which wasn't promised. We were told that All Out War was only going to be a half a season. So there were some decisions made, and a lot of fans were disappointed because they just felt that there was too much time spent on the war. The Whisperer should have happened last year. And that's what's coming next, if you didn't know. That is actually going to start tomorrow with tomorrow's episode. But as far as the remainder of the last episode with Rick's departure, especially about Judith Grimes. I can finally say I'm resolved with and okay about Carl dying, because the way they brought Judith in 6 years later, it's reminiscent of Carl's story from the comics of when the Whisperers first came about. And she's now, because of the second time jump, at the exact age Carl Grimes would have been when the Whisperers story appeared. So now the show is given the appearance that although Judith is not Rick's child, and that was established in the flashback scene with him and Shane, that is Shane's child.
And Shane was so happy to say that too. Shane's like, how's whatnot. So
how's my daughter? Yes, I love John Bernthal. He is an awesome actor. I'm so glad that, you know, his career is still going very strong. But it gives the appearance now that they're going to focus the show. A lot of people were up in the air and not happy with the rumors that were going around that the show was going to focus, that Daryl was going to be, Norman Reedus, Daryl, was going to become the leader of the group. And it doesn't look like that. It looks like now they're shifting the story to Judith Grimes, which I think, like I said, now because Carl is gone, Rick is gone, I think it's befitting, because now, although it's not exactly like the comics, it still can be played in that manner because it's still a Grimes child. It's not, you know, some random person getting more storyline. It's not Daryl getting Carl's story or Enid getting Carl's story or even that little kid, Henry, getting Carl's story. It's actually somebody is connected still with the Grimes family that will be carrying on Carl's story. And I think a lot of people will be very happy with where the show is going. But then again, we have those people who are diehard comic book fans that are not going to like it no matter what you do, because the two main focal characters of the comics are gone from the show now.
Once again, it is Daphne Matthew from Talking the Dead. You also know her from the Walking Dead fan base. If you get a chance, join either of those groups today. She does a lot of watch events on her Facebook group, Talking the Dead. So you got to join it today and catch in on all the fun. Plus, you know, every now and then they talk about everything going on with The Walking Dead. Okay, they talk a lot about The Walking Dead, but I didn't, you know, obviously the name says it all.
We give spoilers.
Yes. Now and then, yes, you do give spoilers, but they do control it very well as far as when and how they do it, who gets to go ahead, and as far as elaborate on that, they leave forums where people can go ahead and talk about the spoilers if other fans haven't seen it yet, especially on the days it airs, because we all know about the different time zones and also when it airs in which country, when and whatnot. So they're very respectful of that, whether it's the Walking Dead fan base or Talking the Dead as well. My friend, any last thoughts on, well, actually, because you are the most devoted fan I know to the Walking Dead universe.
Yeah.
Before we head on out, on The Walking Dead and its future, on what you want to see as far as the shows, all the different stuff that's going on. There's a video game that's coming out as well by Overkill that's been totally overlooked and I thought has come out at the wrong time, so I'm not sure about its success going forward. That to me is something that even if it does rate highly, is still kind of disappointing that it's going to fly under the radar with all the big games that are coming out. But that aside, there's so much to talk about when it comes to the Walking Dead universe. Your final thoughts on what you would like to see as far as the Walking Dead universe is concerned?
I'm actually really looking forward to the remainder of the season and how they handle it. Like I said, they shifted the storyline, which, you know, as odd as it may seem, may have actually saved the show, because there were a lot of people who lost interest in the show because they said it was too close to the comics. So now they've made this big shift. They lost Rick Grimes, and that wasn't their doing. That was his own decision to do. But you have to respect the actor. I mean, this is a man who dedicated 9 years of his life to a show, and he wanted to be a father. He wanted to go back home. So he made that decision. And the one thing I say to all the fans and all the groups that I participate in is that, you know, be angry, don't be angry, be disappointed, but you have to respect a person's desire to be in their children's life, be a husband, be a father, you know, not wanting to uproot them 8 months out of the year to film a show. These people, these actors, these wonderful, amazing actors who do this show and have been doing it for 8 or 9 years, do not owe anybody anything. You know, they have being that this is their livelihood, this is how shows and movies and stuff like that, they have that right to be able to say, okay, it's time for me to do something else. We should all respect that. Now, what I'm looking for, hopefully, for the remainder of the season is that they continue with the awesome storylines they've been creating so far. I haven't been disappointed in an episode yet, and that's really amazing considering that a lot of the episodes last season left much to be desired. It was like, okay, so it was the episode. Let's move on. So hopefully they'll continue the momentum they've built even after Rick's departure. I thought the lead-in for Judith as a preteen was awesome. I love the way they did it. I hope they continue with that storyline. I am dying to see the Whisperers. That is like the ultimate storyline that everybody's been looking forward to for 2 years. So I am looking forward to Sunday and every Sunday after that until I don't know. One of the little things that came out this week that kind of flew under everybody's radar is that the show will be up until season 12, as far as I know. There will be 12 seasons of The Walking Dead. They have signed Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride, Carol and Daryl, respectively, for those who don't know their real names. And congratulations to Norman Reedus on the birth of his daughter a week and a half ago. They've both been signed to 3-year deals, so the show will definitely.
But we've also talked before about Denai Guerrera. You know, I have an issue with she needs to be paid top dollar because she is a hot commodity right now. You know, she can walk off the set and go on and say, you know what, Marvel, here I am full time. You know, she could just do that right now.
I love Denai. I've met her in person. She's awesome. The thing is that they signed Melissa and Norman because I guess they were the ones that were the most easiest to negotiate with. Insider information is that they're hoping to sign Denai to a better, bigger deal. But again, you just said it. She's in the Marvel universe. Who's going to say no to Marvel and the opportunities available to her? She was in 2 blockbuster movies this year alone that were part of the Marvel universe. So who's going to say no to that?
And exactly, and also as well, she does, as you and I talked about before, she does things as far as the as far as off Broadway stuff as well. She has a very successful career there. She wants to go ahead and not be on television, so they have to go ahead and incentivize us because Michonne is a beloved character on that show, and going forward, Melissa McBride is awesome. Obviously, Daryl being in the show, being one of the heads and getting that big paycheck that was rumored and obviously it was pretty much confirmed out there. That was nice, but they need to go ahead and make sure that she is taken care of because she's also one of the last foundations for The Walking Dead as well. But I tell you what, there's so much to look forward to with The Walking Dead. The entire universe, whether it's even though the video game side has had some issues with what, like I said, overkill and also with the death of Telltale Games, but there's still a lot to look forward to when it comes to the television shows, the movies, and whatnot. Also, even the comic itself. You know, we got it all starts there, and everybody goes. The
comics are still going strong. Robert Kirkman, who hasn't really been present as far as speaking on what's going on with the show because there's still lawsuits out there. But he hasn't been really present and communicating much since he announced in July that it was confirmed that Andrew Lincoln was leaving. The comics, as far as I know, he has no plans to stop them. He wants to see it go to 400 issues, and right now, I think issue 187 just came out, so he still has a lot of story out there he wants to tell. And I mean, from what I see now, there are two things that can happen with the show. One of them is that they go 3 more years and get the show as close to where the comics are currently and ends it, which would be fitting because now they've had this big time jump and they're starting the Whisperer story. But along with the Whisperer story, they also had the appearance of Georgie last season. Georgie is from the current, how should I say, conflict, because it didn't start out that way, but the current conflict in the comics is the Commonwealth. And there's some interesting things coming up with The Walking Dead, but I don't think we'll see any more of the Commonwealth till next season. Only thing I'm going to say is for the rest of the season, this is episode 5, so there's 11 more, but there's only 3 before they take the 3-month hiatus. There's going to be some big surprises. Unfortunately, there will probably be 2 or 3 major character deaths on the horizon. One I have heard of as far back as the summer. And it looks like from what they've shown in the last 3, at the end of last episode, they showed the next 3 previews from the next 3 weeks, which leads up to the mid-season finale. And from what they've shown, I could see the one person that was rumored back in the summer to be getting killed off the show happening. But I do see there's going to be quite a bit more, unfortunately, departures of beloved characters, our favorite characters. But there's also a lot more story to tell. So, I mean, we'll lose some people, but some of the new characters coming in, like Magna and Yumiko and the other new characters and the Whisperers, may dull the ache, I'll say, because I nobody can replace any of the new of the current characters. I'm sorry. There's just so much story there with or so much how can I say familiarity with some of the, even Jesus and Ezekiel. I mean, Jerry is like, oh my God, if Norman Reedus wasn't on the show anymore, Jerry would be the fangirls be going after him. So there's a lot of characters out there that are beloved, and unfortunately, we're gonna lose some of them. We're gonna lose quite a few of them. I mean, because this Whisperer story, All Out War was pretty big, but the Whisperer story, as far as the comics go, took about 40 comics to complete, and it's huge. It's huge. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are still mourning the departure. We can't say death because he didn't die. He got taken away in a helicopter of, Rick Grimes. I'm still, upset about it, but, I understand the reasons why, and I totally respect it. So, what I'm looking forward to now is how the story will continue. I mean, I hope, this wasn't just what they've done so far, wasn't just a temporary flash in the pan and, it gets terrible again. They've developed the story arc that actually works, and hopefully it'll continue to work. But, there's always that pessimistic, oh my God, this show is going down the toilet mentality. But we will see. I mean, the groups are going strong. I mean, my Talking to Dead group, I just started, so it's really not that big. Hopefully, as time goes on, it'll get better. The fan base is still the fan base. We have 60,000 members, so we must be doing something right there. And like I said, every now and then, and I only do it in Talking to Dead and only some other groups I'm associated with, because I don't do it in the fan base because we don't allow spoilers at all. I'll give a little hint. I'm not going to give out full spoilers. I'll give a little hint of what's in the air, so to speak. I'm not going to tell you the exact, what's going to happen, because I think at the end of the day, people want to be surprised. People don't want to be told everything. I mean, there are rumors even going out now, and this happened, I think, on Tuesday, about what's going to happen in the finale. And I'm like, I don't even want to hear it right now. I'm still, Rick, I don't want to hear anything about the finale because it's too soon. It's like you have 11 more episodes. You have like 4 more months before we even get there. And people are already leaking information about the finale. I mean, let the fans be surprised. I mean, the one thing I will say, AMC did a great job of hiding the fact that Rick survived. They let us to believe he actually was going to die with their promo, Rick Grimes' last episode, because everybody knows in The Walking Dead, people die. They don't just get to leave. I haven't seen anybody leave since. I haven't seen anybody leave the show except for Morgan. So basically, we don't get that. We don't get that convenience to know that characters are going to live. So they played that very well. So I'm hoping no more information gets out about what's going to happen on the show. And that's about it. I mean, it was a very nice departure to see a main character survive, other than Morgan. Now, what happens with him on Fear is yet to be determined. They did get approved for another season, but after that, nobody's certain what's going to happen with that show. But as far as The Walking Dead goes, I mean, hopefully, people will come back. I mean, I know a lot of people just tuned in to see what happened with Rick. And now that they know we might lose significant numbers, but I'm hoping that people stay tuned. I'm sure that they will be satisfied with what happens the rest of the season, because I'm gonna pitch it out there. The Whisperers is something that should not be missed. You have to experience it on the show.
Once again, it is Daphne Matthew from Talking the Dead and also the Walking Dead fan base Facebook groups. Join those awesome groups today to talk everything Walking Dead. Plus, I hear every now and then she loves to talk about other pop culture stuff as well. Daphne, it's been great having you aboard, talking about, once again, everything going on with The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, the new movies coming up for Andrew Lincoln, and so much more. Just always a pleasure to have you on the show, part of the broadcast, and of course, right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Thanks, Jerry. We'll talk after the mid-season finale. That's 3 more weeks, so we'll see what happens then.
We'll talk then, no problem. Just glad to have you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. You have a good evening now.
You too. Glad to have you part of the
Thank you. Bye. Okay, bye.
Glad to have you a part of the Pop Culture Cosmos.